Turn on that radio and back here. The cops ain't likely to catch up with us, not tonight. So we can all be quiet and peaceable and listen to the music.
Good afternoon. I'm Dave Villa.
Hey, I'm Dave Cribbs.
It's 3:30 and you're listening to Auto Dealer Live. And we're so honored, man, that you guys have joined us today. And we're so ready for a jam-packed show, Dave.
Yeah, I'm jacked up about today because anytime, the majority of the show's content will be wrapped around, what we're doing in the dealerships execution-wise. So I get fired up about that.
And not only that, absolutely. And not only that, man, I think there's 9 people in total that are going to be part of today's show. As what we've done, guys, we've been wanting to do this for a while, and there's times when when shows, I guess, do best of, so to speak, and and they play like repeats and things like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we've done that at certain times, but today we've got a live version of the best of. We've actually gone, and listen, let me just tell you first of all that we have so many to pick from, it's impossible. Really, we can do a part 2, a part 3 of today's show because there's just so many people that we can actually reach out to. But today we have 9 of the most controversial, most entertaining, most incredible guests that have been on in the last year at various shows to discuss some of the most talked about, argued about, debated about, and topics that are out there. And so I'm so excited, man. And so we titled today's show, What I Meant Was.
Yeah, what I meant was. Yeah, because, oftentimes when you're trying to share your perspective or your point of view, or even if you're in a heated debate with someone, you know what it's like when you're trying to have that discussion with someone, and then it ends, and then later you think, oh man, I could have said this, or I should have said this, or man, I don't know if they really understood. This is what I meant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
today,
and I think that actually, I think that these individuals, I mean, they're consummate professionals, and we have some great people on, some great car people on today. Respect every single one of them. And let me tell you another thing. I mean, this is a list of some of the most successful people that you and I know in the auto business. And so let me start by saying, I think that they meant what they said, and I think they were cognizant of what they were saying the entire time. So I don't think you're going to have, and even though there is an opportunity on a show like What I Meant Was, there's the opportunity to say, you know what, I was wrong. Hey, you know what, I've looked back, I've listened, and I've done some research, and maybe my opinion has changed. There's also the ability to say, hey, you know what, I was right. I'm doubling down on what I said, and and not only that, I wish I had more time to say it, and let me tell you a little more about it. And then there's the clarification. I think that the elaboration, or maybe, let me better explain it. And I think that we're going to get a lot of that as well today.
Yeah, I think that's what we'll see. Like you said, Dave, each person that we have on the show today, they're hugely successful in their arena, so they're not gonna, they're not gonna just flip over when they're having huge success. But I think that clarification was a word that you mentioned.
Yeah,
I think that's a great word. I think that that's something we'll see today.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm hoping, because honestly, guys, the more I do this show and the more I'm involved, I mean, we all have our opinions. We all, really, I think we're hard pressed as opinionated individuals, and in our own right, successful, we're hard-pressed sometimes to change our core values and principles in any given debate. I mean, I'm not really sure debates are designed to do that. I think they're designed to get us to think. And the more I do this show, the more I talk to people on either side of the way I may believe, I take points away from it. And I come to find out, man, there's just more than one way to do some things, and especially in the car business. So there's not a lot of absolutes when it comes to the car business. We all want to sell cars, and there's a lot of variances that go into that. So I'm excited about, in just a few minutes jumping on, and we're going to do this a little differently. We've got topics. Let me just kind of run down some of the topics that we're going to be discussing. We're going to be bringing back call monitoring. We're going to be bringing back the UP system. We're going to be bringing back Foursquare, and we're going to have people on talking about these practices. And and I know we have a show coming up, and I don't want to really make this about that. But do I kill it? Do I crush it? Is it relevant? Is it not? And Dave, I'm excited to hear again some more thought-provoking discussion on this. And hey, we have somebody in our studio, man. We have a guest with us today, and it's pretty cool having someone sitting with you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We were just talking about it before the show started. How cool it is to have him here in our studio. But Mr. Frank Lopes is here with us today.
Thanks, Frank.
So he's standing right out of camera shot, but he's here with us today, and we're having a ball.
Absolutely, he's on a road trip, and Frank is a partner in an awesome ad agency up in Jersey. And Frank, what's the name of the agency? Forrest and Blake. I just want to get it wrong. Mike's going to get a shot for you on the other camera, and Frank is on a road trip. He was visiting CBT. He's here with us. We've done some work together. He's also involved in Dealer Solutions Magazine. He's a contributor there. I think he's on his way down to Miami to see Grant and his guys. And so just on a road trip, and it's really cool, man. But thanks for hanging out with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Dave, our first guest we're going to be bringing on here in just a minute. The next up is Jerry Tebow, and I'm excited about what Jerry has to say. Let's talk about a couple of things coming up, man, before we have a couple of minutes before the segments start.
Yeah, we've got next week is our Great American Automotive Panel, sponsored by Jeff Cowan's Pro Talk, and we're going to be visiting the subject of direct mail. And even though that's the business we're in, we're going to stay as impartial as we can and just kind of moderate things. But we're going to, and we're kind of putting ourselves out there. I mean, we're asking the question, is direct mail dead? So
we've never talked about direct mail on this show. That's what, our product, is Mailology, and we're staying out of it. It's going to be very difficult, but we have a couple of really credible individuals, and we're going to talk about, is it dead? We're going to really have it and put it to the test, and then put alternative measures. And also, man, the following week, I'm very excited. This is our third time in the last year, I believe, doing the Women That Rock Auto show, and I am so excited. I believe we've got up to 10 women in the auto profession on that show that day, correct?
Yes, and most have never appeared on Auto Dealer Live, so we'll be seeing not only some new faces that will come to Auto Dealer Live,
right,
but also what they're representing, what's behind that face. We'll be talking about all kinds of things that you can plug into your dealership with the women who rock auto.
And what's really, really cool about that whole deal is only half of them are your ex-wives. So, it's really, it's impressive that you're going to get 5 of them on at the same time.
You are aware that my wife watches this show, right?
Well, but she knows you've been married 10 times, right?
She I have not been married 10 times, okay? I have not.
I know that.
However.
Dang, I just struck a chord. I didn't know that was such an issue. You're scared of your wife. I hear. Dina, he's scared of you. We get
She's in denial that I've ever been married before. So we're,
Just kidding, Dina. Don't kill me. All right. So then we have I'm really excited about this as well. Can you sell through social media? We're not talking about. We've had multiple social media shows and experts in that field, but we're going to have dealers on talking about dealers that actually sell cars using social media. That's going to be an amazing topic, and of course, keep it or crush it. Keep it or crush it.
That'll just be a fun show. So
sure will, bro. Are you ready?
Man, I'm ready.
We got a lot to do. We have 3 segments coming your way, a total of 9 guests on the show today. But today we're going to start with the call monitoring and kind of revisiting. This is what I meant. And first, we have guest CEO and president. The next up on Auto Dealer Live is CEO and president of Phone Ninjas. He is going to be on video as well, Mr. Jerry Tebow. I want to thank Jerry for being with us today. Jerry, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for being with us, and we really appreciate it. We're going to jump right in. We got about 5-6 minutes on the segment, and then but we're going to let it be about you and give you the opportunity to to really just have the floor. So, Jerry, starting off, you were on the show a few months ago. Obviously, you had Alan on the show, and Dave and I were talking. One of the reasons we wanted to do this show is we had such a tremendous response that not only started before the show but went long after, but also we felt like that the show really, you guys weren't able to take a lot of time and have a lot of time to elaborate. So we're going to give you that floor. One of the things that came in on question was you discussing, and I think maybe I might have said it incorrectly. Talk about your stance on call monitoring outside the store, hiring agents and bringing that in, and then Alan's going to be on right after you. And, of course, he's going to be able to possibly, give his opinion on that. But go ahead, Jerry. You got the floor.
Well, so my stance is that, a lot of times there's a lot going on in dealership, and people drop the ball. They don't have time to monitor all their calls. And, Alan's stance obviously is that the manager should do it. And he actually referenced the dealership, I believe it was ABCD's done. It was funny because a couple of days after the segment, I got a call from one of the managers there, and he's like, hey, I just want to know that you're absolutely right. He goes, yeah, we're supposed to be listening to our calls, so we don't have time to do it. And often days that go by that we don't even do it. So while Alan preaches that, it's not fact. It doesn't happen in the dealership. And that's why, you can hire a third party to listen to your calls cheaper than you can do it at your dealership. And it's not just a matter of listening and monitoring the calls, there's also coaching the calls. And, there's a misunderstanding from the last time we were on the call. What I do and what companies like Call Review do is two different things. Call Review will listen to all your calls and will review the one that isn't handled properly, whereas my company will teach people how to be better on the phone. So we actually take the whole call and put the coaching right inside the audio file, and we give it back to them in the scorecards so they can learn from it and not make those mistakes again. And, those are some of the misconceptions from the last call.
Okay.
So, Jerry, is it your stance that Alan may be somewhat correct in principle but not really practicality?
Hey, what Alan preaches is, on paper it looks great. Yeah, it would be great. In an ideal world, the sales manager would listen to all their sales calls. But, they got a lot going on in their dealerships. And, I guarantee you, any dealership that's, under that, premise that they're going to do that, they might do it good for a couple of days here or there, but they're not doing it consistently. There's just too much stuff going on. And you get a guy making $100K, and he's, working with the, working deals and training salespeople. They don't always have time to go into those calls and listen to them. And let me tell you, I have 5 people that do nothing all day long but listen to phone calls and find the sales calls. And it's not as easy as you think to find those sales calls when you get several hundred phone calls coming into your dealership.
Let me ask you this, Jerry. What about those who would say, it's with regards to your, and I agree that it's very difficult, and your way is better than nothing, and obviously what we get typically in the car business is nothing. But what about those that would say that it's not the best way, and that hey, you're selling it obviously as a business plan, and it's a financial gain, and it's a smart business move for you, and it's a business model that works, and it makes you wealthy and successful and so forth and so on. But is there a better way? There's a better way to train it. What would you say to that? Are you shortchanging the dealers by not saying, hey, but you know what? The best thing you could do is have your managers. What do you say about that argument?
Well, the best thing you can do is train your people to answer the phone call first off, and then do it properly when they answer it. Some dealerships, that are spending, there are dealerships out there that are spending $10,000 a month just to have somebody monitor all their calls. But those dealers will tell you that the amount of deals that they're saving, far outweigh that expense. If they spend $10,000, they're making $40,000 or $50,000 in additional profit by having a third party listen to those calls and provide them with the missed opportunities. And, maybe a dealer, another option for a dealer is they go out and they hire somebody for $10 an hour that just sits in a BDC and does nothing but listen to every phone call that comes into the dealership, not just sales, but also service and parts, and looks for opportunities where that customer was not handled properly and somebody follows up with them and gets it done.
So Jerry, we have a minute left. So taking this minute, then I want you to say, okay, what I meant was, and what you want to leave as far as the last minute here, as your stance, give it to us.
Most important thing is answer the phone. 25% of all calls that come into a dealership don't even get handled properly. So that needs to be done. And listening to the call after the fact isn't going to get it done. So figure out how you're going to get your calls answered and test your dealership. I just did a mystery shop recently in front of a bunch of GM dealers, and a minute went by and nobody even answered the phone. That's a problem. So take your phone calls serious because it's a big profit center for your dealership.
Well, thank you, Jerry. We appreciate you coming back on the show today and not only reinforcing your stance, but also clarifying, exactly where you're at. And can you tell dealers how to reach you if they would want to do that?
Yeah, they can reach me by emailing me, jerry@phoneninjas.com, or they can call me at 585-749-2015. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Jerry.
Jerry Tebow. All right, we're going to get a response here from Alan Ram in just a moment. We're going to be Skyping Alan in, so just bear with us for the next few seconds. Well, Dave, it's on, and Alan's going to come on, and we're going to give Alan a chance to, to double down, to to respond to what he heard, and then just so you guys know, with the upcoming segments, we're going to have multiple people on together. This is the only segment where we actually have them on separately. So. On the Up System and Foursquare, Dave, we're going to be bringing on multiple people at one time. Actually, there's no video for Alan, so it's just audio. And when you go ahead and bring him on then.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Next on the line is Alan Ram with Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. I can't believe I had to turn around and cheat just to make sure I did that right, because I didn't want to get the words backwards or whatever. Because it is when you have dementia.
Alan Ram, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. I can't believe I put on pants for this.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you're not on video. Well, you have pants on. Okay, so I was going to say.
There you go. Hey, I came back early from vacation to be on your show today.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you very much. Well, we hate to actually introduce you back into civilization from vacation with your blood pressure probably elevated. I'm not sure. But you were listening as you were probably on hold waiting to come on. Jerry doubled down on his stance. I'm not sure if you heard or not, but, he said, in theory, and I'll kind of get it this way and let you start. You have the floor. In theory, Alan's right. He said, but, it would be great in a perfect world, but in all actuality, managers don't have time to listen to calls, and that's his stance. So he doubled down on it and then made some clarifications. Alan, what say you?
I say the exact same thing I said in the last debate. That argument on the managers don't have time, and in an ideal world, it would make sense. But in the real world we live in, it doesn't make sense. I think that's ridiculous, and it's ridiculous. And it's not, and if it doesn't happen at a dealership on a regular basis, that's because nobody's holding the managers accountable. Where does accountability start? It starts with the ownership and the general managers. And when an owner or general manager say, "Hey, you guys, this is your job," and this is what I always talk about. If we did, in fact, come to work today to sell cars, which we did, if we came to work today to sell cars, what is a more important function than listening to customers that called up our dealership today and quickly resolving missed opportunities to do business? I can't think of anything. If that's what we came to work for, I can't think of anything that is more important than that. And having someone else monitor the calls, and I'm surprised you guys, and I didn't hear the whole thing with Jerry, but did you guys bring up the third world
I wanted to. I did want to get some clarification on that with Jerry, but we ran out of time.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, where he was talking about agents in third world countries. That's not what he bought it up last time. Like that was a good idea. Here's the thing: the difference between a manager listening to a call and someone in a third world country, if you will, or someone that's not a manager listening to a call. A lot of times, customers will set up appointments with a salesperson just to get off the phone. They have no intention of coming in, but they'll set up an appointment because it's the quickest way off the phone. Well, you or I can listen to that call and say, you know what, that guy's not coming in. because of the way I can just tell that customer, yeah, they may have set up an appointment, but that customer's not coming in. Where someone else that's less qualified would listen to the call and they'll say, yep, appointment, and score it as an appointment. So again, I'm going to go back to saying it's a manager's job. That's if we did in fact come to work to sell cars, there's nothing that managers can be doing that is more productive than listening to sales calls that came in. These people, they want to buy a car today. We're here to sell them cars today. There's nothing we can do that's any more important to that. And saying that in the real world, we don't have time, that's nonsense. We've all been at dealerships. I see what people do. Yeah, we're busy, but we've got time for that. That should be priority number one.
Let me ask you a question, Alan. And this is, I'm not sure if any of us have the answer, but I've watched Twitter so far here a little bit when Jerry was on. Best phone process, somebody said, in the system or in the industry, and just different things like that. So, but yet Jerry admitted. Dave asked a question and said, "Hey, is Alan right in theory, but just not right in practicality?" And he admitted, yes, Alan in a perfect world. So here's my question. It's almost like watching Fox News or something. It's like there's two sides here, and it's like no one ever agrees, no matter what points people make. He admits that in actuality, in principle, you're right. So what is it? What is it? Is it that, hey, it's a great business model, I'm making a ton of money on this, and dealers are buying it, so therefore I got to stand behind it? Is it the fact that they're lazy? What is the issue? Why can't it be done?
It can be done. It absolutely can be done. And I don't blame him for defending his business model. Mm-hmm. Hey, listen, the guy that owns a donut shop is going to say, hey, donuts aren't that bad for you. Hey, everybody eat donuts. Hey, guys, you don't have time to eat a healthy breakfast every morning. You don't have time to get to the gym and work out and eat right. Here, eat donuts. And people are still going to eat donuts. Okay? So I don't blame the guy for defending his business model, but I think it's kind of like, okay, I kind of think I'm on the side of, hey guys, this is your job. This is, we can't work to sell cars. We want to listen to customers that called up wanting to buy cars today and help them buy cars. We want to sell them cars. I don't think there's, I didn't start that battle. I just said that initially when I was getting interviewed on another show. And he's the one that jumped up and said, no, that's ridiculous. That's like the guy from the donut shop saying, debating with the guy at Whole Foods.
Yeah.
Hey, you don't have time to eat right. Eat these donuts. Or, hey, guys, you don't have time to exercise. Dave and Bill and Cribs, I'm just going to tell you, you guys don't have time to work out. Come on, that's unrealistic. You don't have time to work out and eat right. Here's some diet pills.
That's what
it's all, it's all pandering to people that don't want to do their jobs.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I think that after listening to both Jerry and Alan, not a lot has really changed as far as where they stand, and
where do you
there's
stand?
No surprise.
Audience, and that's the thing. Hey, well, go ahead.
No, and really that is the question. Where do you stand? And we're talking to dealers and salespeople and sales managers, general managers, and owners, and tweet us. Call into the show, whatever it takes. Just figure out where you stand on this. And I think consistency, well, I'm not going to get into that. The bottom line is, hey, Alan, we appreciate you greatly for coming on the show today, especially just coming off of vacation or cutting that a little bit short. How do dealers reach out to you?
They can reach out to me right here at 866-996-4665, and we will answer the phones.
Okay, thank you.
We will have 100% rate on answering the phone.
Hey, Alan, can I ask just one question real quick? Because I keep forgetting to ask you this off the air, so I'm just going to ask you on the air because you're pretty much a straight shooter. Hey, in your commercial where you have those little guys with orange ties, is that on purpose?
What little guys with orange? No, that was wait. The one where the people are standing around.
Yeah, they're standing around. They have orange ties on. Was that a slam on? Was that?
No, if I would have thought about it like you're thinking about it, I would have photoshopped the ties.
Okay, I'm just wondering. I always wondered that when I saw your commercial, if the little orange ties were like if there was any symbolism.
I was convinced.
I was like, absolutely no symbolism at all.
All right, man. Thank you very much, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Hey. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Mike, are we going to commercial or are we going to next? All right, the next up, listen, we're going to go right along. Listen, here's the deal, okay? One of the most beautiful people in the automotive space, the best hair, Matt Koenig, and then Laura Madison. I'm scared. You like that? I had to go. No, I
had a feeling you were going to go.
Well, because Matt's got the hair, right? Laura and awesome. Matt, we got you guys on together. Now, listen, I know you guys are friends, and Laura had to, John Marazzi was on the last time Laura Madison was on, and I believe, I didn't know until after that, I think they're a client of Alan, so Laura had to play nice a little bit as well, but but I have a feeling she's not going to play as nice today, Matt. We're talking up system, Dave.
Yeah, we're talking up system. You guys were on the up system debate on a previous show, and I know that I weighed in on that as well, and I know that Matt was of similar opinion as far as open floor over the up system, but Laura was definitely all in on the up system, and that's what we were really talking about. So
can I throw the first question out?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
So Matt, Laura says that you're wrong, and so basically regarding the up system, the fact is she said you need one, and that you're wrong. What do you say, Matt Koenig?
Hold on. I've got to stop everything I'm doing because it's my turn to go get it up. So wait a minute. What I say is that's the problem. Listen, if you go back to what I was saying, what I really was saying was that, like, somebody who's talented, like, take Laura, for example, right? Because I think Alan thought at first, he's like, oh, he's bagging on my girl. I'm like, no, actually, I'm saying she's so talented that if she's working at a dealership and a manager's putting her in line for opportunities behind someone with less talent, then the dealership may lose out on profit, and that good salesperson you have may leave and go to work for a vendor like Alan Ram because they're getting shortcutted on opportunities by less talented salespeople. Now, I know it's not really why she left, but the reality is this. We know this business in many ways. It's going by the way of Best Buy. I'm not saying it's the best way. I'm just saying up systems, everybody's going to eventually turn into a $40,000 blue shirt advisor because sales managers aren't following Alan's advice and taking the time to equip their people to do their job. When those of us that worked in the business, not up until 4 weeks ago or 4 months ago, when we started, we were trained. We had to teach our people to be good on the phone. Every salesperson had to be good on the phone. We had to listen to calls. If they sucked, we didn't let them take calls at all till they role-play practice, and then we gave them a shot again. So I still don't believe the up system is the best way to go. Do I think you can have success in it? Absolutely, without a doubt. I just don't think it's the best model. I think the best model is to hire people, empower them, and hand them the keys.
Absolutely.
Somebody's turning on the up system. Pause.
Okay, well, let's take it right over to Laura. Laura, what do you say?
Yeah, with all the respect in the world for Matt, especially because I think he's signed on to be one of my judges for my digital dealer talk later this fall. So I just have to tell him how much I love him right now. But with all the respect in the world, I just couldn't disagree more. How are you expecting for people to be two places at once? Because they can be on the phones and they can be in front of the computer using social media and creating a personal brand and doing the things that we know you have to do in 2015 to be successful, or they could be standing by the front door in line. Because how long do you have to sit there in line now to speak to a customer? I mean, quite a while. And I just want to say, I've been to 2 Toyota dealerships just in the last couple weeks in Arizona. And not that you guys are chicken like we are in Arizona, but, we're averaging about 110 degrees right now. The first store I went to, we got 2 people standing by the front door. Both are on deck on the up system. They're not melting in the heat. They're not out there on the pavement dying with a pack of 10 people. They are up next on the up system, and everybody else is doing their job, making calls, answering internet leads. Then I went to another Toyota store here locally yesterday. We had 5 or 6 people standing outside in the heat trying to be the closest to where the parking lot was so they could get to the first up. They looked miserable. They were sweating. It looked terrible. And again, all of you guys are not dealing with, the heat that Alan Ram brought me into when he moved me to Arizona. But I think it's a respect issue. You're going to have your people out on point in the heat trying to be competitive with each other, or you're going to have some organization to it and allow them to do their job.
So I think that means if I hear you right, though, you're talking about different levels of an up system. So here's the thing. And in some ways, we're saying the same thing, but in some ways, you're contradicting what Alan said. So we'll go back to what Alan was saying about Jerry Tebow with, handling phone calls, right? We can outsource phone calls because it might be more efficient and yada, yada, yada. But what we're really doing is we're not equipping our people to be the best trained on the phone. Now, with an up system, while we're putting people in line to do stuff like that, I hear what you're saying where you go, well, I went to store B and there's 20 of them standing on the point. What that tells me is that whoever is the leader of those 20 salespeople is not doing their job. Because it's up to them to sell their salespeople on the value of, guess what? Instead of sitting here waiting for people to walk in the lot, I'm going to prospect, I'm going to follow up, I'm going to do the things that a Laura Madison would do to grow my business. That's the job of that leader, to equip it into their salespeople and instill it. And listen, if they don't do it, right, this is where you're trained. You teach people, then you hold them accountable. If they don't do it, you reteach them and you hold them accountable. If they don't do it, you tell them, congratulations, you have a new job somewhere else because I'm not going to sit here and watch you fail, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if 5 salespeople are sitting there with their thumb up their nose in 90-degree weather, that is a problem. I just don't think the remedy is, let's just put you guys in line to wait. I think it's maybe I didn't make a good hiring decision, or maybe I didn't train you, or maybe I suck at motivating you in the morning to do the right thing. I watch Cribs and Villa on Meerkat and Periscope. Talk about getting their people on point. These guys care. They're motivating them daily. They're training them daily. And I would venture a guess at the store where there's an abundance of people standing around, not to.
Yeah, and my biggest issue, the thing that I'm worshiping, is that conceptually your idea is beautiful. I mean, it lives in a fantasy wonderland that I would love to also occupy as well. But at the very least, it wasn't my reality. When you are having an open floor, and then you've got somebody like me that really did spend a lot of time doing things like blogs and YouTube videos, I was very clearly punished. And although I did have a great management team that I believe did support me as much as they could, trying to kind of understand this new movement I was trying to create to build my business, I think that, again, for as long as you've got an open floor, you're sending your staff conflicting messages. You're saying, I want you on the phone, but I also want you by the front door. And if you're going to be on the phone, then you're going to commit your whole morning to that. That's great.
It walks to the front door.
Right.
To the back door. It walks to my house. It
So
walks to my car.
So then all of my social
Not to a
media...
desk anymore, though, Laura, and that's the problem. And you're right, it is a fantasy world now because general managers and owners have finally accepted that hiring shitty managers who don't care enough to train right is all they have to choose from. And it's not all they have to choose from. It's just that it starts at the top. And if the leader of a company doesn't care enough to make sure that their people are equipped, their managers won't care enough to equip their salespeople. It starts at the top. And I would say that to any owner right now. God bless you, but if you spend $5 million renovating a building and you're going to be okay with 5 people sitting around with their thumb up their ass, GM shouldn't have given you your franchise back. It is a fantasy world, though. You're right, because in most cases, people aren't doing it anymore.
Laura.
There are some stores, not the majority, that train, equip, and do it well with an open floor, and they crush it, and make great profit, and have great CSI. There are those that do the same thing with a closed floor. So like I said, you can have success in both. I just think your way is...
Laura, take 30...
our hands up and giving up on our people.
Laura,
That's all.
take 30 seconds, Laura. Take 30 seconds, give us your closing remarks, and we'll go give Matt the 30 seconds because we're out of time, guys. We got to move on to the next segment. Laura, take 30 seconds.
Yeah, I just think I would really encourage any salespeople watching, but certainly any managers and any dealers, think about how you can create an environment where things like social media and personal branding and making the phone calls and building your base, make that really encouraged. And so whatever that looks like to you, if it really doesn't look like a closed floor, which I believe in, then make sure that you're spiffing your people if they're getting somebody in off of their social media efforts, or do something to create an environment where this is acceptable because we know it's the future of the car business.
Matt?
I would say this. I would encourage every dealer, general manager, GSM, all the way to your salespeople, take 1 hour of your day, 20 minutes on your attitude, 20 minutes on your selling skills, getting better at your product, and actually be a performer so that you don't have to wait for someone to tell you. You have to stand in line like a little kid to get the job done. I think that the talent level is still available if we're willing to take the time to train and equip them. I think there's still a possibility everybody doesn't have to cut their income to 30 or 40 grand and decide if the best choice is Best Buy or the dealership to sort of support their family.
All right, guys. Thank
Laura,
you.
you rock. And I don't know the title of your thing for Digital Dealer, so I'll still be fair even though you beat me up.
Thank you, guys. You guys did great, man. Thank you guys for being with us.
Thanks, Billy. You guys rock.
All right, man. Thank you. Best hair don't care. Hashtag best hair don't care.
That's awesome.
All right, man. We're going to be right back, guys, just in a couple minutes. Don't go anywhere. Listen, I want to hype this up because we've got it. Listen, we have Used Car Ricky and Bobby Collins, General Sales Manager of Coconut Point Ford, and we have Used Car Ricky. And Used Car Ricky is at what dealership?
He's in Austin, Texas.
We don't really know, but he's an automotive zealot. And he said,
what
about the Foursquare? What did he say?
He said the Foursquare's retarded.
He says retarded. And Bobby Collins said, unless you're doing $4,500 a clip, don't come talk to me with that stuff. So the two of them are going at it. Foursquare or not to Foursquare? That's the question. When we return, we'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Alan Ram, president and founder of Alan Ram's Proactive Training Solutions. Let's face it, good managers are defined not by what they do when they have a showroom full of customers, but more by what they do when there are no customers in the showroom. In 2015, whether you like it or not, the car business is all about conversion of opportunities and driving traffic. All those great closers and desk people are not doing you a whole lot of good if your dealership is not converting effectively on the telephone and internet. As an owner or dealer, when you see 5 salespeople standing by the front door doing nothing, don't kid yourself. Your dealership is not being effectively managed. Management by Fire is a 2.5-day intensive course conducted entirely by me that teaches managers how to effectively manage in today's automotive industry. Simple processes for driving high-quality traffic. For more information on upcoming events, please call my team at 866-996-4665. Once again, 866-996-4665. Thank you.
Hey, and we're back and we're moving on. And the next up, we've been waiting for this, the Foursquare debate. We've got Bobby Collins and we've got Used Car Ricky. Bobby, are you on the line?
Okay, so we're bringing him on right now.
Oh, okay, bringing him on right now. Go ahead. This is gonna be an awesome debate because, you know, I think if you've been around the car business for a while, you've definitely been exposed to the Foursquare. A lot of the dealers have moved away from it, saying it's dated, saying it's hokey. You know,
but is that just an excuse? That's my question. I'm not saying it is, but is it just an excuse to say, hey, you know what, man, I'm weaker than I used to be? Or
I don't know if it's that. I think that they have good intentions. I think that they're trying to present a different experience for the customer that maybe appears a little more professional. My only issue with moving away from the Foursquare personally is that there's no matter how you present it, there's nothing that is on the Foursquare that you don't have to address before that deal is wrapped up. So we've got to talk about price, we've got to talk about down payment, we've got to talk about payments, and we've got to talk about trade. So all those are being addressed. I think the Foursquare just keeps it simple.
Good.
Okay, now here we go. We have got the next up. We've got Bobby Collins and Used Car Ricky here to talk about the Foursquare. Is it retarded or is it still relevant? And Ricky Walter, we're going to go ahead and go to you. What do you say about the Foursquare?
I didn't actually say retarded. I think I said it was retarded, but
Okay. All right. Well, share with us what you don't like about the Foursquare. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, here's the thing. Yes, it gets the information out there. Yes, it does what it's always done, what it's been doing for the last 50 years. It's the same thing. Okay. The problem that I have, or the issue is, it's difficult to scale and manage when you have new salespeople coming in, and if a sales manager is going out and delivering the Foursquare, they know exactly what to say, when to say it. Whereas if you have a new salesperson that isn't trained as well, a Foursquare can be a little confusing, and it's not always the same. It's easy to get away from a process when you're just writing it and you're kind of going, you're doing the just writing stuff on a piece of paper. I mean, you wouldn't buy a house that way. You wouldn't buy a boat that way. Why are we still selling cars that way? Not only that, but it's difficult to keep up with the information. The salesperson has to keep up with it, or the customer has to keep up with it. If they leave and they don't buy a car and they got to come back, then everybody's looking for that deal that happened yesterday or the day before or last week, and nobody knows what happened. So it's just not a very efficient way, in my opinion, to deliver the information. And I think you can do just as well, sell just as many cars, and make just as much money with a menu system as opposed to a Foursquare.
All right, thank you, Ricky. Bobby Collins down at Coconut Point Ford. Bobby, you heard what Ricky said about the Foursquare and his opinion, and what's your opinion?
Well, I respect his opinion, but I think you're retarded if you're not on a Foursquare. I mean, not that Foursquare's retarded. You're retarded. If you don't like growth and keeping up with the numbers, I don't get it. One of the biggest things that we do here is we train our people, and it's word scripted. Even the new guy, after a week of it, he's walking and talking Kool-Aid. So he's drinking the Kool-Aid. So, I mean, the biggest thing the Foursquare does is stop the dumb questions. We do not ask the customer how much he wants for the car. We share with him what wholesale numbers are, and we try to reach the number. We don't ask him how much he wants to put down. We share with him that the banks would like to see at least 20% down. And price doesn't even come in, then you talk about the trade, and then, then cash down, then you talk in payments, and price doesn't come in there. So if it's retarded, then I got to tell my CPA why we're running $4,500 a copy, because it's not, I don't understand what he's saying. It's hard to keep up with the numbers. I don't get me on that one. But we have each and every one of our salespeople deliver the Foursquare. And once again, never ask them how much they want for the car. Never ask them how much they want to put down. Never ask them where they want their payments to be. We fill out, and they do it themselves, not the sales manager. And then they bring the deal back to the sales manager. And every single time, you got some growth there. You don't have a mini. You got some growth, and all we do is bounce it back and forth and just try to improve the growth. And by the way, duck a trade.
Okay.
So
we
live by it. It's like a religion down here.
And Ricky, what would you say to that? Obviously you're using a menu system, so we know that now. But what would you say as far as training someone on a menu system versus training someone on a Foursquare? I think you have to have the training either way. And the Foursquare is 4 simple squares. I mean, it seems to be kind of easy to figure out, where the menu system, one might argue that it's maybe even a little bit more complicated to actually work once you present it. So what does that look like for you as far as preparing a salesman with a menu system?
I think it increases the consistency across the board. If you're a mom and pop store and you have one point or maybe two, Foursquares, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying that you're not gonna sell as many cars. What I am saying is that when you're talking about teaching lots of people to do the same thing, a menu system. Listen, if somebody says a menu is too confusing, they probably just don't have the IQ to sell a car anyway. So they need to go on down the road. If you're using a menu system, it's easier to manage the information across the board. You have a 5, 6, 7 point group. You got 7 different sales managers writing in chicken scratch and all kinds of different colors of pen. It just doesn't scale well. From my experience, I've never worked at or been to a large group that was using a Foursquare that was killing it in the market. Now I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. And if I come across that, then I will I'll raise my hand and be the first one to say, you know what, I'm wrong. I got no problem with that. But for now, what I'm saying is it's difficult to manage that information and to be consistent across the board.
Bobby, let me ask you, Bobby. I mean, in Ricky's saying, obviously say, hey, if I can find a store like that, and I'll raise my hand and say I'm wrong. And he said what do you say though, Bobby, to somebody that says it may be difficult to train? You heard what he said, and about the mom and pop store. I haven't comment on that.
No, I tell you what, I think it's easy to train because what we do is we get all the sales managers, and we train every day. I had 2 classes on Foursquare training today. And then I get them up, and they do it. The managers, they're all on the same page. All the deals are working. You talk about consistency. It's exactly what it is. It's perfect. And I'm telling you, it's really a 3-square the way we do it. I mean, price doesn't even come into it anymore. I get full sticker deals plus, and then we cut the trade a little bit because we get the customer. Because for years, salespeople were trained to ask dumb questions. How much you want for your trade? How much money you got to put down? And where do you want your payment to be? And those don't come up in a Foursquare done the right way. And he's right. He's probably not seen it done the right way. Maybe go to the YouTube that you guys did with the Foursquare training with Bobby Collins and check it out. And I personally, I can attest to it. We've taken over stores that were struggling with growth and then tripled it. And it's been consistent. It's not just luck of the draw. I mean, it's just we don't accept many. Now, do we take some? Sometimes you get somebody a little smarter than the average bear, yeah. But because 90% of the customers, they're geared to walk the path just exactly the way we present it, and it works.
Dave?
Yeah, and
the key is to train. You got to train every day.
Yeah, and that guy that did that video did do a pretty good job, I will say. But hey, Ricky, so let's hear your closing arguments. We got to wrap it up. We're almost out of time. Go ahead and finish out.
Listen, I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm sure it does. Okay, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that the menu system has the same information. It's just more organized. It's more consistent. It's easier to track, and you can always revisit it. It's stored in the server. You can always pull it back up. It's not that big a deal. If somebody has a hard time, understanding what the menu is telling them, then again, they probably don't need to be in the car business anyway.
All right, Bobby, closing remarks.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And we're familiar with the menu system. Our sister store does it, and we beat their deals all the time. They come walking with this clean piece of paper. It's nicely typed with all the information, the rate, and we say, give me that, And so we turn them around, and then we turn around, actually make more goals than they let them out on. So that's proof right there. It's there's something about that scribbled up piece of paper. But like I said, I'm not, and you know this, David. I $4,500. You look at our potential. That's our average. So.
Can I say this, guys? I mean, let me ask both of you guys this. I mean, we're out of time, but just because it's just here, it comes down to a lot of the things we're talking about on a regular basis and happens to be talking about today. I mean, are we scared in the car business of gross these days? I mean, let me ask both of you guys that. I mean, are we scared of gross? Are we scared sometimes that are we afraid to make a little money? I mean, is it I heard somebody the other day say, I buy this particular product. I think it was a commercial for CarMax. CarMax said this dumb commercial they have out there. Well, I buy, this way, and I buy that this way, with the price. Why do I have to haggle with a car? And I'm thinking, well, it's for, in my opinion, and we don't have time for another subject, but man, in my opinion, it's the benefit of the customer that there's the negotiation in the first place. Because if you tell dealers that there's no more that we can't haggle anymore, they're going to build a set profit in there. You're paying profit on everything you buy. You just don't know how much you're paying. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how much money I'm making. I don't know how much money they're making on a washer when I buy a washer, or how much money Sears is making on a dryer. Maybe I don't negotiate, but I mean, if I negotiate something and I'm a better negotiator, guess what? It benefits me. Are we scared of gross these days? That's my question.
Absolutely not.
I'll tell you, David, one thing they said the Foursquare was supposed to be computational, and we just won the President's Award 2 years in a row. So it's not computational, because at the end of the day, each block is circled by that customer's number. They agreed upon that number. So the customer feels like he won also. So we win because we make the growth. The customer feels like he got a deal. So that's why I think it's so easy to work.
Ricky, what'd you say?
I've never said that growth is a no-no. I've never said that.
Right.
I absolutely for the amount of hours and the time that salespeople spend doing the things that nobody else wants to do. I believe that they deserve to get paid every cent.
Okay.
All right. Well, Bobby and Ricky, thank you for being on the show today. Real quickly, how do dealers find you if they want to reach out to you, Bobby?
Yeah, they can email me at bcollins@gallowayautos.com. Also, they have contacts also on YouTube, and I highly suggest you take a look at that YouTube video on Foursquare. It's all condensed in a real quick video.
Yeah, I think it's up to like 15, 17,000 views on it, and so go ahead, Used Car Ricky. How can they reach you?
You can go to usedcarricky.com, hit me up on my digital business card, or just send me an email at ricky@usedcarricky.com, and I'll be back.
Guys, thank you for being with us, man. I appreciate taking time.
Twitter is Gulf Coast Bobby.
Gulf Coast Bobby. All right, thank you guys. Thank you guys both.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Well, man, you know what? These are what's great about the show is what I meant was, and and the thing is that we're getting different perspectives, and I love it. And honestly, man, it's just I think it's really good dialogue. I think it's better for the industry all around the board. I will tell you though, man, that CarMax commercial makes me mad because it really aggravates me because I'm going to tell you, man, this, I didn't have to haggle for this coconut drink, but I don't want to know how much money they made on me. Right. You know what I'm saying? Because they made money. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so negotiation is in my benefit, in my opinion, because you know what? Hey, and if you can't negotiate, then maybe you should learn how to negotiate a little better.
What's up? Okay, so the next up, moving on, we've got J.D. Rucker, we've got Jonathan Dawson, and we've got Marsh Bice join us on the show today. J.D., are you with us?
I am with you.
Great,
Marsh.
And I know we have Jonathan as Marsh on.
Marsh will be on momentarily.
Okay, so Marsh will be on in a moment. And
when you guys hear that little weird beep, that means Marsh is on the phone. Jonathan, what's up, brother?
Hi, guys. How you guys doing?
I'm good. JD, we'll get you guys started, and we'll let Marsh weigh in. Marsh is going to kind of be – I think Marsh is on now. Marsh Bice, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, sir. How about you?
Good. You're going to serve kind of as the referee in a sense. Not that there's going to be a debate. I'm just saying a referee because here's the deal. You're the only actual current dealer on this three-way panel here, Marsh, and I'm sure you believe in training, and I'm sure you believe in marketing. So we wanted to discuss, and I'm going to let Dave kind of take the first question here, but we wanted to discuss marketing versus training. Not that either are bad, but what's the best way what's the most important thing a dealer needs to spend his money on? What's the best ROI? We've got a trainer, national automotive trainer on, Jonathan Dawson with Cellcology, and then we have a national digital and social marketer on with J.D. Rucker with Dealer Authority. And Marsh, we've got you as referee and obviously as an automotive expert as well. Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess my question would be, and we'll go to JD first. But my question is, if a dealer has a discretionary budget, an amount of money that he's allotted to spend for the month when it comes to dollars, and he's looking for that ROI. As a marketer and a vendor, I'm going to ask you if there was a set amount of money and you're competing for those dollars, and a dealer is trying to make a decision. Does he spend the money this month on marketing and leads, or does he spend it on training his sales staff? What would you say to that dealer if you were competing for those dollars?
So here's the unfortunate part, is that I know that you brought on a marketing guy and a training guy so that we can get some fireworks. I'm going to go ahead, and before Jonathan debates it, I'm going to agree with him and say that if I'm running a dealership, the very first thing I'm going to spend my money on is training. I want to make sure that if I'm going to be sending a massive amount of traffic through me or through other marketers, that they can handle it. The worst thing you could do is send all tons of traffic and people get there and then they have a terrible experience. So you have to make sure that your sales team, your management team, and everybody who's involved is actually going to be able to handle the massive amount of traffic that I'm going to send them. Mm-hmm. So, sorry, I hate to diffuse the debate.
No. Well, that's okay, JD. This actually may be Jonathan may disagree with this, but you also said that you would prefer to hire Sean Bradley versus Jonathan. But no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Jonathan. No, but go ahead, Jonathan. So he agreed with you, and I think that we all agree with training.
Yeah, and I had a feeling that JD might take that that direction, and I'm going to throw another question
to Jonathan.
No,
Jonathan
I'm going
to say.
Leads,
I bet you Jonathan
leads.
won't say marketing.
Yeah, he's not going to say marketing. He's not going to say marketing. But let me ask you this, JD. Looking around the auto industry, what do you think dealers spend more money on when given the opportunity, training or buying leads?
Well, okay, so now you messed up the question. Now we're going to debate. They're spending way too much money on buying leads. Absolutely. They're not spending nearly enough money on the two most important components, which is training and marketing for first-party leads. Send the traffic to your website. Once you have your sales staff, your management staff, your finance staff, once you have them fully trained, send the traffic to your website and let your website make the difference. There's no need to go out and buy leads, and that's nothing against. I know I'm good friends with Scott Techstein and a lot of the companies that do try to generate leads for dealers. That's great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but too much money is spent on that. So the answer to your question is way too much money spent on buying leads, not enough money spent on training, and not enough money spent on sending the real traffic, the buyers, to the dealership's website and to the dealership's showroom.
Let me ask Marsh Bice. Marsh, before we go to Jonathan, what's your opinion on that? Marsh, you're a dealer, and I think I know something you may throw in as a caveat regarding spending money on training. But what's your opinion, Marsh?
Oh, I agree with JD on that. I mean, I think it's training first, and then sending it to your website. Second. I 100% believe in that. The issue with training is a lot of times I think what some dealers do is they'll traditionally spend it on marketing because to them they can see an instant result, I guess, so to speak, with the ROI by spending. Okay, we're going to run this kind of campaign. But with in regards to training, it's something it's more of a long view. It's more of a long-term view, because when you start training, you don't get the results overnight. It's something that you have to constantly. You're constantly feeding, watering, nurturing, pruning your sales garden, and so it's more of a long-term view on that.
Are we selling training? I mean, because we're a marketing company, but obviously we're a training company as well here, so we believe in both. But are we selling? I've always said in 20 years of dealing with auto dealers that, and it comes down to a lot of times that trying to reinvent the wheel and change somebody, or, obviously run a business. I opt to run a business while trying to change the culture, but they believe it. How many cars is it going to sell me? How many cars is it going to sell me? How many cars is it going to sell me? So are we selling training possibly in the wrong way? Do they need a training budget like they have an ad budget? Are we not attaching sales to training? I mean, Jonathan, let's go to you. I mean, is there a better way to, this is not how to sell a dealer necessarily, but is there a better way to offer training? Are we doing it wrong?
Well, that's another question. I want to first start by saying J.D. Rucker is a genius. I think that starting out by agreeing with me only proves how smart he really is. And that anybody who wants his services, clearly the guy's a genius. So you need to subscribe to his services. But to the point about the effectiveness and the ROI and why do dealers so quickly and so easily adopt a budget for marketing, but don't necessarily think the same way about training. I think Marsh's point is on point. It's because you have to really have a philosophy of training. When it comes to developing your people, first of all, you have to believe that they're actual people. That they're not objects. If you view them as individual people and not objects, then that transforms how you're going to develop them and what you're going to do and what you're willing to invest in. If you consider them just objects, they're replaceable because it's like a paper. Get me a new one. Or a phone. I drop my phone. Get me a new one. But when they're human beings, and then it changes everything. So a dealer that I work with is a dealer that has a philosophical commitment to developing people, empowering people, and making them better humans. That happens to also produce a higher level result at the store, including profit and productivity. But I really think that when it comes to training, compared to marketing, for example, I train salespeople how to market as part of the training. It's not just road to the sale. It's not just how to greet a customer. It's not just how to overcome or whatever objection.
They have to. I believe all great businesses are in two businesses. They're in the business of sales and then the business of marketing. If you're the best salesman in the world without anybody talking to you, go broke. If you know how to generate traffic, but you don't know how to close them, you go broke. You need to know both. And a salesperson's no different. I teach my salespeople to adopt an understanding that they're in sales and marketing, that they're not a salesperson, they're in sales and marketing. And so as an example of that, one of my students texted me and said that his personal marketing efforts is the 5th highest generating traffic to the website. It's the 5th highest organic. One of my other students generates 40% of the organic traffic to the dealer's website as an individual salesperson doing his own marketing. So I think it's really got to be both. We have to teach them how to sell and how to close and how to overcome, or as I teach, how to introduce objections so you don't have to overcome them. But we have to teach them how to be sales professionals. We have to teach them how to be marketing experts as well. And by the way, this is not that hard to do. One of my students collected 1,000 referral leads in a single month. 1,000 names and numbers from the customers that he sold. The average dealership doesn't get 1,000 cell phone numbers from their BDC department. And one salesman doing referral techniques properly generates 1,000. So it doesn't have to be a give or take. It can be a both solution. But I'm going to agree with, again, my buddy JD, it should start with developing the people. The analogy, if I may, is this. If I've got a roller coaster ride and it's broken, and on the third corner and the third turn, it throws people out, I don't say we need to sell more tickets. I say, hey, look, we're losing people on the third turn. We need to sell more tickets. No, you say we need to fix the ride because we're losing people on the third turn. And that's really the same thing with our sales process. Why do we spend so much more money bringing people into a process and a system and an environment that throws people out? Let's try to capture as many as we can by developing our people.
Oh, hey, Dave, real quick, just a question that came in on Twitter because Arnold Terrarina said this, and March, I want to ask this to you, and then I want to let Dave go the direction he was going to go. Arnold said something on Twitter I think is a really good point, Marsh. Let me ask you if this is, in your opinion, true. Dealers don't spend money on training because they're afraid their salespeople won't remain employees. Is that a valid reason, you think, Marsh, for why dealers may not spend money on training?
I think that's an ignorant way for dealers to look at it, but I think if a dealer thinks of it that way, then if you're not investing in your people, then they've got no reason to stay anyway. So if you truly invest in your people and you're interested, let me tell you something. If you're training them to be the best, they have no reason to look elsewhere. It's when they get crapped out, when managers and leaders aren't doing enough training that they get demoralized. They get crapped out, and they get discouraged, and they go look for greener grass elsewhere. But if you've, like Jonathan said, if you've properly trained them, and then they in turn begin to market themselves, then they're generating that business. And as long as business is coming their way, there's no need for them to look anywhere else.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't get that mentality at all. I mean, my goodness, we build a dealership, we put our money at risk in order to make money. You've got to take a risk there in training salespeople, in my opinion. Now, Marsh, I know that in your dealership, I know that you're really heavily involved in personally training. I would say you're almost like an in-house trainer and GM wrapped up into one. However, my question is, why? How is it that we have moved so far away from training, especially when our decision makers, our GMs, our owners, maybe even some of our GSMs are making those decisions, and they came up through the business in a time where training, I believe there was more of an emphasis on it, and the result was where they got where they are now. So I just don't get the mentality of losing that training aspect or that priority. Explain what that is about. And I'm going to offer this real quick also. Is it because we're trying to make work such a comfortable place for everyone that we can't demand action from people these days?
You know what, David, I disagree with you. And the reason being is the reason why there's a lot of people that are sitting on the desk that don't believe in training because they didn't train themselves. And so what happened is you have to understand, when I got into the business, there was no internet. So, what you had to do is we were given a big old binder, sit in a room, and go figure it out. And the mentality, the old school mentality is, if that's the way I came up, then that's the way you need to come up too. So good luck, make it, and if you can't, you're not cut out for this business. And so nobody. Yes, I got trained on the job. I got trained on the desk as far as in the heat of a deal, and I got cussed out and told what to go do. And in some respects, it did make me better. But then ultimately, I had to take. I didn't want to look like, and I didn't want to sound like every other salesperson. I didn't want people to walk away from me saying, "Well, golly, he sounds like everybody else." So I took the initiative and said, "You know what? I'm going to really take the steps to really know everything about my product. I'm going to be a sponge, and I'm never going to know too much about this business." And so, but I think in some degrees, I think I'm a little bit cut from a different fabric. But unfortunately, there's a lot of managers that are sitting on the desk and then who have moved up through the ranks because they just kind of fought their way through it. But times have changed. Customers don't come to us for information anymore. They have all the information. Now what they're coming to us for is to help break that information down because it's overwhelming and fit it into their world. That's the only reason why salespeople exist today.
We're going to give you guys a chance. We're over on time, but I'm going to give all three of you guys a chance to close out. JD, I'll go to you. Is it a leadership issue? Is it a leadership issue? Is it a lack of leadership issue? Is it a talent issue? A lack of talent issue? Answer that question, guys, and I'll give you your closing remarks. JD?
Okay. So I don't think so. I think that it might have been before. I think that, and we can always say that, leaders lead and managers manage sit on the desk, leaders are out on the floor. There's a lot of cliches that we can utilize here. The reality is that car dealers, and I'm talking about general managers, dealers, managers, and even sales team themselves, everyone has this overload component. Everyone is, there's so many, it's not they're overloaded with work, they're overloaded with options. They're given a certain budget, for example, and they have to decide the best way to do it. And they have, anyone who works at a dealership knows that you probably get 2 or 3 calls a day, even cold calls from vendors. Some of them sound good, some of them sound bad. There's just so many options out there that it can be confusing. It can be a very daunting task to try to determine what's the best way to spend your money, because it's not just a matter of spending your money in a way that's going to get you good results. It's trying to figure out which way is going to get you the best results, and you have to put together a proper formula between training and between training and marketing and all the other aspects of running a dealership. The bottom line is this: that if a dealer can sit down long enough and truly assess what's out there, assess their own team internally, and then make a decision: is my team able to handle it? Do I need to get them trained? Yes, no, maybe. Great. Then they need to assess, am I getting the right leads? Am I getting the right traffic? And are people coming to the store? Once they make those decisions, then they can actually determine, how do I spend the money wisely? How do I make the most out of my budget? The most successful dealers I've seen have stopped, slowed down a little bit, assessed first, and then gone out and taken pitches. When you're hit with pitches every day, it's kind of like you take what sounds good at that particular moment. It's almost luck of the draw. Look inside first, and then make a decision. How do I improve the dealership? Take it from a truly knowledgeable perspective, and then make decisions.
Thank you, JD, and tell us where dealers can find you.
At dealerauthority.com, or they can tweet. You can tweet me at Subi101. That's SUBI101. That's my fake Twitter account. And you can email me at jeff@dealerauthority.com. jeff@dealerauthority.com.
Great. Thank you so much, JD. And Jonathan?
Yeah, I appreciate it. Look, I go back to what I said earlier. It's a philosophical commitment. If you believe in your people and your customer as the most valuable assets to your organization, if you really think they're more important than the tile you chose for your floor or the desks that your people sit at, when you consider the amount of money dealers spend on all kinds of things like that, I guess, and even, again, to go to marketing, what I tell my dealers is I want to ask you, can you think of a single marketing campaign that's ever driven loyalty? Because it's not just about traffic. To me, it's about loyalty. You can create a campaign that drives traffic, but traffic doesn't create loyalty. Even customers don't necessarily turn into loyal raving fan advocates. So what I say we need to be in the business of creating raving fan advocates, not just in the business of selling cars. And when you adopt that mentality, when you say, this is not the car business, it's not the people business, it's the raving fan advocate business that I'm in, well, that creates a completely different paradigm by which you make your decisions on where you'll spend your money and how you'll invest in your people and what things you'll care about and pay attention to. So, for example, we like to high-five a guy when he sells a car. I guess I get it, but what I want to know is, was that a self-generated sale, or did the dealer have to pay for that? I'm going to high-five a guy when he generated or she generated that sale, not because the dealership's in traffic and somebody just happened to have the car. That's not salesmanship. Salesmanship is the person going out and generating that, and creating that, and building a business. So what I want to know at the end of the month is not just how many cars do we sell and how much growth do we make. I want to know how many self-generated leads do we close. I want to know, did my salespeople increase their percentage of self-generated sales? I want to know how many referrals did they collect when they sold that car. I don't want to, you sold a car, great, but you're 0 to 0 again tomorrow if you didn't get referral lead opportunities that lead to business tomorrow. So to me, it's a philosophical thing. The dealer has to believe that way. Otherwise, it will just be something they check off. They say, we offer training. No, you don't. Not really. You offer something, but it's not development. And so for me, that's where it becomes a personal passion of mine. And I love marketers. I love people who understand great marketing. I think it's important to have that. But I think, in my opinion, we have to have the right people in place to greet that customer and to out-experience our competition. And
Absolutely.
that's the business I want us to be in, out-experience.
Thank you, Jonathan. That was a great closing statement. And can you tell dealers how to reach you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, you can reach me, but I recommend you go to my blog. You'll like information there, and you can get to my blog by going to whycarguy.com. That's WHY, because I'm known as the Why Car Guy. So whycarguy.com, that's my blog. I want to talk about psychology, why things work. So that'll get you to my blog. And then I also recommend, if you'd like to talk to me, reach out. My cell phone number is 612-387-7776. It's my direct line. I'd love to talk to you. If this stuff resonates with you, you're my kind of people, and I want to talk about it. So 612-387-7776. And those are two great ways to reach me. I'm obviously on Twitter at Cellcology as well, so you can find me with Cellcology, Selling Through Psychology.
Thanks, Jonathan. Marsh Bice, give us your closing remarks, sir. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I was actually handling something when you asked the question. So do you mind repeating it real quick, and
No.
I'll give you a 30-second summary.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, we were just getting your closing thoughts, Marsh.
Yeah, and what I said kind of in the beginning of it, I just said, is it a leadership issue, or is it is it a leadership issue? Is it a talent issue? And then, that was kind of the segue for the closing remarks.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, it is a leadership issue, and whether you're leading 50 people or you're leading the guy that's standing in the mirror, it's 100% a leader issue. And so what we have to do is, number one, if you're on the desk, if you are a manager, if you are you call yourself a leader, then you need to do exactly that. You need to lead. You need to get off your desk, get out of your black chair, get in there with the troops, and show them how it's done. And then at the same time, you need to create that persona. You need to create that image. If you want them to do better, then you have to do better, and you have to show better. And so you set the tone for how you want your people to act. And so that's so very important. And if you're doing it, if you're instituting the change, then people will gravitate towards you, and they will also want to change as well. But yes, it starts from the top, and it starts with the person in the mirror.
Thanks, Marsh. How does someone follow you and find out what's going on with Marsh Bice?
I'm active on Instagram. It's all the same: Instagram, Periscope, and then also on Twitter. It's Marsh, M-A-R-S-H, Bice, B as in boy, U-I-C-E.
All right, man. Thank you, guys. I want to thank you guys for being with us today, man. It's been great.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, David.
Yes, sir.
One last comment, if I may.
Yeah.
Just along that point. Yeah, real quick. I'm at Long Island City Cadillac right now. I'm actually in the owner's office. He's let me do this. During the class today, the owner, Sam Fox, was in the role play, actually doing the role play with the team right there. He didn't stay the whole time, but he knew we were doing the role play. And again, this is the owner. But he got in the mix. He was around the circle. We were tossing the stuff. He was tossing it. He was laughing. He was failing in front of the team. And that's what Marsh is talking about. And I'm not saying every owner needs to do that, but it needs to be their heart to show the guys, look, I'm willing to get in the mud with you when it comes to learning how to tackle the next generation of selling.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that, man. That's awesome. That's inspiring. John, thanks for being with us, man. Thanks, guys.
Thank
Thanks,
you, guys.
JD. Thanks,
Thank you,
Marsh.
JD.
Man, that's awesome. And I know, guys, we're over, and I want to appreciate you hanging with us for a few minutes, but I want to encourage you, even though we're a few minutes over here, the next up is get your social on. I want you to watch this because, and it's not, we went over and you know what, hey, good news is we're on the internet. But the cool thing about this, the girls are really going to approach something on Facebook today that I think you definitely don't want to miss. So check this out. The next up, Amanda and Aaron Ryan, and get your social on. We'll be right back in a couple of minutes to wrap things up.
Welcome to Get Your Social On. I'm Aaron Ryan.
And I'm Amanda Ryan.
And today we're going to stay on a similar topic to last week. Last week we talked about reviews. So important to not skew them. But this week we're going to talk about how you might be skewing your page by doing a simple action without even knowing it. So today's topic is thumbs down to liking your own page posts.
Right, we don't like it.
We don't like it.
We don't like it. And we're going to tell you why. I mean, there's things that you do that you might not even be paying attention to when you're using Facebook. And some things can be easily missed. So we're here to help you.
And by helping you, we mean to tell you not to like your post, the content that you share, whether it be video, photo, text, whatever you're sharing on your dealership Facebook page, you don't want to like it as your dealership.
Right. So if you're Dan Ford dealership, say that's the name of your dealership, and you've posted something on the Facebook page for Dan Ford dealership, you don't want to then go like what you just posted as Dan Ford dealership. So we're going to show you later on how you can switch to your profile to like things up, because if you are a manager of a page,
an automatic default.
It is. And if you are a manager, you also have access to settings. You can change that so that it's not the automatic default, but majority of people don't know this. And so when they see, something go out on their page and they're a manager, they go and like it up, not realizing that they're actually liking it up as Dan Ford dealership.
And the reason is because it's, number one, you posted it.
Yeah,
your
it looks strange.
It looks strange. It's like there's a disconnect between your dealership and your dealership's Facebook page. Now, whether you have someone else, a vendor, or just somebody else taking care of it, it's not you directly, and you go and like it as the dealership, it's showing Facebook users, it's showing the public, because you don't even have to be a Facebook user to see a Facebook page, that there's a disconnect between you and what you're putting out on Facebook. And if you're rocking it on Facebook, it gives a perception of that you're a rock star, in real life. So you don't want to have that disconnect. You want to make sure that you're not liking it as your page.
I mean, that's something you got to think about. Like if you go to Apple's Facebook page or Pepsi's Facebook page, for example, say they posted something and then they go like it as Pepsi or like it as Apple. It looks a little strange.
It would look
you
weird.
would be questioning it. Yeah, I think so. And most of all, it skews.
It skews results.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I mean, don't think for a minute Facebook hasn't taken this into consideration and that there's no way to game this. But the thing is that you're giving yourself an extra like, and it's not necessary.
Not looking great to your customers or potential customers, especially if it happens time and time again.
Yeah. Which we've seen happen.
We have.
And now that you can apply, changes.
Exactly.
So you can use your profile, your personal profile, as opposed to the page. Now, like we said, when you log on to Facebook, your personal Facebook profile, and you see content coming through your newsfeed, sure, you're going to say, oh, that's the page, that's the dealership page. I want to go ahead and like it. But the default is you acting as your dealership.
Right.
So you're going to want to make some changes. But before you do that, here are what you should like as your page.
Right.
Like positive comments.
Right. So, and we're talking about positive comments of those other people, meaning your customers or potential customers, that have left positive comments. You want to like those up. You don't want to like your own comments up as the page. You want to also like up neutral comments. So, if there's a 3-star rating or something similar to that, or something's questionable, like I called there today, didn't get an answer, can somebody call me? It doesn't as long as it's not negative towards the dealership, like it up. You want to make sure that Facebook page continues to grow.
And that's a good thing to bring up, because you might be like, what about negative? And we did talk about that last week when we talked about reviews. You don't want to like negative sentiments up, but you do want to comment.
Yes.
As your dealership. So I know that's, usually it's like and then comment, but you don't as negative, because you don't want to push it up in the algorithm. And that's the reality, is that there is an algorithm on Facebook and it does push things up, but you got to make it matter. You got to make it count. And when you look at your analytics and your insights, you want to be able to say, okay, this is genuine quality analytics. This is what's happening here. And you don't want to skew it at all. The other thing that you should like is positive reviews.
Yes. I mean, we talked about negative and not liking those as the page. What we highly suggest is liking positives both as your page and as your profile. And you can do many of these other things too as your page, as your profile. Being that you work at the dealership, obviously you like to see positive things happening. So you would go and like things of this nature up. So those are some things you want to like as your page, and as well you can do as your profile. But there's some things that you just shouldn't do when you like the page. And that's when you're on the page, is like your own posts.
Your actual posts. You need to do that as your profile. So everything else, number one, you need to act as your dealership. But when it comes to the post, the content that you're putting out on your Facebook page, don't like it up as your actual page. Like it up as your personal profile, if you want to take any social action at all. Because you don't have to. You know what I mean? But if you're a social butterfly and you're on Facebook and you actually utilize it, then, if you are choosing to like your page post, be sure it's your profile and not your Facebook page.
Exactly. So there is a way to switch this. And if you look at any post on your page, you'll see like a boost post and then a little box. And yet maybe you can see Erin's head.
Maybe.
It's a little picture of Erin's little head right there. And that's letting you know that she's acting as her profile on Facebook. Now, she can easily switch that to Wikimotive, and it'll be the little icon of Wikimotive that will then let her know that she's acting as the page.
Or any other page that I have admin access to. The thing is, though, is I had to switch it to show my profile picture as Erin Ryan, so I could act as Erin Ryan. But the default was showing Wikimotive, and that's because I have manager access to that specific page.
Right. So the important key here is that you don't want to skew your results. You don't want to look awkward or strange on social, doing social things that you shouldn't be doing. And to do that, whenever you like a page and you know you're a manager of it, make sure you check this little icon under the post to see which actual page you're acting as. And if you want to even act as your page, you might want to then switch to the profile.
And keep in mind that little things like this actually can help or hurt you. And in this instance, it's not going to help you unless you follow these guidelines. So it's not just our rules that we don't like it. It's really, the social etiquette that you need to start applying to your dealership's Facebook page.
Absolutely.
It is time for Get Your Social On. Social shout-outs. We asked you guys last week to tweet at us or to follow us on Twitter at the Erin Ryan,
at Amanda Shares,
or at GYSO Addicts, which is us together. And you did. And McNeil at McNeil Nissan, we want to say hello to you at McNeil Nissan.
Hi.
And you can follow them on Twitter. These are automotive folks that you can tweet with, get to know. And if you want to have your Twitter handle featured here, whether it's for personal branding or for your dealership, you can just, again, tweet at us. And we'd love to showcase you here on Auto Dealer Lives. Get Your Social On. At Jimmy KNMT, we have given you a shout out before, but we've got to get you a special shout out today.
Yeah, because, last week he tweeted a picture of his daughter wearing a GYSO bracelet.
Wristband. Right. But it was so cute.
We can agree on that it being adorable. Okay.
I almost fell down. Okay, because
I was like, I can't even.
She could not even. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And the thing is that we appreciate that so much. And he said it's the future GYSOer, and we love that. Didn't get permission from Jimmy to showcase it here, so didn't want to put the picture up. But if you want to see it, you can head on over to Get Your Social On's Twitter account. Yeah. At GYSO Addicts. So thank you so much, James. appreciate that. At Raceway Ford followed us. Hello, Raceway Ford.
Hello.
We know you watch us every week, so we want to give a special shout out to each and every single one of your faces.
Thanks for joining us.
And at Zimmer Chrysler, thank you for following us on Twitter and connecting with us.
Yeah.
We appreciate that so much. Okay, if you want to check us out on Facebook, you can head on over to facebook.com/groups/Get Your Social On. Check out all past digital marketing Get Your Social On episodes that are directed towards the automotive industry here on Auto Dealer Live on wikimotive.com/GYSO. We also have great articles that
coincide, go together. Let's stretch it out. We even have like more additional information for you to soak up. We can't always fit into our videos.
Right. When was the last time you checked out the Wall of Fun?
There's an idea. I mean, we've got pictures, tweets. I mean,
Lots of
showcasing
love.
our GYSO addicts because we love you all. And you tweet some great things and Facebook some great things and even did some videos to us.
Yes.
So it's all there. If you haven't checked it lately, go see if you're on it.
And see who's doing it.
Yeah.
You know,
check it out.
You just be nosy and go see who else is doing it. The thing is, too, is we want to give you a special thank you for all the trending topic hashtag Auto Dealer Live has been doing. What a social way to show your love for Auto Dealer Live. So, 5 times is pretty fantastic, and we appreciate it because you're out there quoting us, tweeting at us, having a great time. So much love to all of you. Until next time, friends, get your social on.
Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on. Get your social on.
Hey, and we're back. Thank you, Amanda and Aaron Ryan. Thank you so much for that. Get your social on.
We might as well go ahead and just do next week's show.
Yeah.
We've been in here.
Let's just roll right in it.
Roll right
hey,
on
you know, I thought it was a really cool show because we tackled about 4 or 5, maybe 5 really hot topics pretty quickly, and, it was exciting.
I love it. Quote of the day, used car Ricky said, Foursquare is retarded, and then Bobby Collins said that you're retarded if you don't use it. But that's funny, man. So great guys, man. Classy, and as always. So
quick shout out to JD Rucker. Apparently his birthday is tomorrow.
Oh, happy birthday, JD.
Happy birthday. All right. All right, guys. Well, great, man. Look forward to seeing you guys next week. Make sure you weigh in on Twitter. Hashtag AutoDealerLive. There's a tweet leader going on. And see if you can help us. I think we're trending again, and want to thank you guys for just getting on there and blowing it up. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you to everyone.
Have a good one.